production facilities provided by Access Fort Wayne are a service of the Allen County Public Library. The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting organizations. For more information about creating your own television program with Access Fort Wayne, call 421-1250.
Hello, and welcome to our show, The American Veteran. I'm Dale Parrish, your host. Carl Fowler is co-host. Also sitting in with us today is Mark Young, Navy veteran. Our guest today is Jim Winnie, World War II veteran and Korean War veteran. Mm-hmm. Welcome to the show, Jim.
Thank you, Carl.
Do you recall what you was doing 70 years ago this past week?
70 years ago, we were busy about this time dropping supplies into Europe after we dropped the paratroopers on the 9th.
Normandy
landing. Yeah, Normandy, yeah. Yeah, we were dropping parapacks. You ever know what a parapack is?
No.
Parapack is these parapacks underneath the C-47. And you load them up with ammo and food supplies and drop them out with a parachute. There's 6 of them underneath each C-47.
Oh.
How big are those?
Oh, I'm not going to say, they're 4 foot in diameter.
4 foot in diameter?
Yeah, they're round. Uh-huh.
8 foot long or more?
About 6 foot long.
About 6?
Yeah.
4 by 6?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
You get a lot of stuff in them.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah. But that's what they just dropped the parapacks.
Yeah. So, what was your duty?
I was crew chief on C-47.
C-47.
Mm-hmm.
They dropped troops.
They dropped paratroopers, gliders.
Gliders.
Yeah, and we didn't drop. My outfit did not drop any gliders in Normandy. The other troop carrier groups did. We just dropped paratroopers.
Okay.
But on Market Garden and Varsity, we dropped gliders. We towed a lot of gliders. In Varsity especially, that was a big glider. I forget how many gliders. They had around 1,400 gliders that they towed in on that.
That is where you
that's in Holland. That was right after Market Garden when they took the Market Gardens with 5 bridges.
Okay.
Market Garden was 5 bridges. After that, to bring infantry into Holland and into Germany, they brought a big push called Varsity, and they had more gliders on that than any other one.
Oh.
And that was the most successful glider operation there was.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not as many of them cracked up?
Well, not as many cracked up as... in Normandy, when we had gliders there, the Germans were expecting that. They had what they called Rommel spaghetti out there, which was 3-foot stakes in the ground at an angle, and every landing field there was, which when they came in, they just tore them up.
I was going to say, they didn't have a good place to land anywhere, did they?
No. It wasn't that, and the hedgerows was terrible.
Yeah.
You was telling me something about a problem they had in Sicily.
Oh, yeah. That's the one thing I would like to talk a lot about, because a lot of people don't know why the airplanes had these black and white stripes around them today you go see any airplane that was in World War II, they got black and white stripes on them. And the reason was in Sicily, during the invasion of Sicily, my outfit, I wasn't in it at that time, but in July the 9th and 43, they had a glider invasion of Sicily plus paratroopers. My outfit carried 12 gliders in on Normandy, on my 45th Troop Carrier Squadron of 316th Group. We carried 12 gliders in. Out of the 12, 6 came back. 3 of them was shot up so bad they could never fly again. And they were all with friendly fire. Started in with the British opening up on us. And there's some of the airplanes that made it back that never flew again. As I was telling you about a parapack.
Yeah.
See this big hole in this aircraft right here? That was a parapack that not shot off the other airplane. It went through that airplane.
Oh.
And that airplane, if you look at it, was loaded with paratroopers at the time. It was one of the worst things that happened in my outfit at that time. So because they didn't recognize the gliders that we were pulling, is why they opened fire on us. They recognized the aircraft, but not the gliders. And so they opened up on us. We got really bad. Not only my squadron, all the 316s lost aircraft. And a lot of the guys that unhooked the gliders out over the Mediterranean, and all them guys in that gliders, they all drowned it out there.
Oh.
So.
Why would they unhook them out there? They didn't know where they was at, or what?
No, they wanted to try and get away from all this
Aircraft fire.
Air fire, yeah.
Well, that was almost criminal, wasn't it?
Yeah. And the invasion stripe itself, as you can see here, a lot of times they were just put on the bottom half of the aircraft. A lot of times they were clear around the aircraft, and on each wing there's a stripe around each aircraft.
Yeah.
And they're black and white, 18 inches, 18 inches, 18 inches. White, black, 3 blacks and 2 whites. And that was and the order came out to do that. Yeah, there's one clear around it.
Well, on the wings, too.
They told us to do this at the time. They gave us the paint, but that was put on with mops, put on with gloves. They didn't have any way to really paint them. They don't look as pretty as they do here in the States today, because they're all spray painted on. But back then, they were just any way they could get those stripes on.
Right. Well, a matter of life and death to them, you know.
Right, yeah. They didn't want to have another Sicily on their hands.
Right.
Yeah. That's one reason that all the black and white stripes are on the invasion stripes, is what they're called.
Well, you said you was a crew chief.
I was a crew chief. Mm-hmm.
Just what does a crew chief do?
Well, in the air, in long distance flights especially, you'll have a fuel tank inside the fuselage plus the wing tanks. Mm-hmm. You got to make sure when you're using fuel you keep gas on both sides so you don't get one wing.
You balance. You
balance out the aircraft. And then the air after that, you don't do a whole lot except on the ground, and it's your aircraft. You take care of it. When you're a crew chief, you're the command of that airplane. That airplane's yours.
You're basically mechanic number one, right?
Mechanic, make sure your gas, oil, and all that stuff's in the aircraft, ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your responsibility.
Like I say, and you made a crew chief. It's your airplane. Once you get that airplane, it's yours. That's how I got as an instructor, as towing gliders, as snatching gliders off there. My airplane, I got a brand new airplane when I went into Gulfport, Mississippi. Gulfport. No, it was at Grenada, Mississippi. And got a new aircraft. 2 days later, they could get in that airplane. We're going to take it to Mobile, Alabama, and they'll put a snatch unit in it. So then they had to teach me how to run the snatch unit. Then I had to go to Alliance, Nebraska and teach guys how to operate the snatch unit after that. Now, a snatch unit is when you take a glider sitting on the ground, and you take and you fly along, and you pick that glider up right from the air while you're still flying. And there's a picture of the airplane coming in ready to snatch that glider off the ground. And inside that, in the aircraft itself, there's a big winch in there, like a big spinning reel. And as a cable rolls out of there, you have to set the tension on that just so that you don't snap the cable, but you still apply enough brake to it to get the thing going off the air.
It's just like the drag on a fishing
you have to
reel.
put the drag on it just right, or you're going to lose your fish.
Right.
Yeah. So that glider's our fish.
How fast you traveling when they snatch it?
You want to be doing about 120 full pitch on the prop, not low pitch, I should say, and where you can really pull that thing up and get it out of there.
It always amazed me how they could
Because I mean, once you
that.
hit him, you're going to drop down to about 100 mile an hour then.
Yeah.
And you pick up fast though after that.
But that glider is setting 0
Yeah.
and then
And it depends
100 mile
on,
an hour in a matter of seconds.
it depends on how much, if say the glider's loaded, or even if say you're on sand or heavy dirt, depends on how, because the moment you hit that glider, they're hooked up above. They want to go over on their nose right away. So when they're on their nose, they're hit on the front skids, and until you get them moving, they're a big drag there right away.
Now, you mentioned to change the pitch on the propellers.
Yeah.
You have settings for power and speed and so on and so
Well,
forth,
they're
right?
all automatic, but here you bring it right back into low pitch all the time when you're pulling the glider out.
Yeah, okay.
Because you can get full RPM in. You can get more RPM on your engines there.
Oh, okay.
You ever lose a plane?
Never lost a plane. That rod coming down there was an ash pole. That's wood. We've got guys fly low enough to break them ash poles off. So that's close enough to losing an airplane.
That'd put you within 10 foot of the ground, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So we come close at times. One thing that I remember, the guy didn't get his snatch unit set right. The cable snapped. It's a 1/4-inch cable, steel cable. Snapped, and it went whipping around inside the aircraft.
Wow.
And it didn't kill him, but it did a lot of damage in the aircraft and hurt a couple of guys because of the snap. That's why you had to be so careful knowing what's in that glider and what ground you're going to take off, even what tow rope you're using. If you're using an old tow rope or a new tow rope. A new tow rope is, they're all nylon, they stretch farther. So, yeah.
1/4-inch cable don't seem like much to pick up that much weight.
Oh, it's a 7/7. 7 strands to a roll, and then 7 rolls into the cable. So, and they're all stainless.
Mark was saying and telling us before that in Vietnam they hauled a lot of wounded out with those.
Oh yeah, we did. And I was talking about Market Garden. Market Garden was the only time that I remember bringing glider in to bring wounded out. But Germans had that 5th bridge. The guys in there were surrounded, and they couldn't get them in and out, and they had so many wounded. So we took gliders in, dropped the glider in the area, and then put the wounded in the gliders and snatch them out and bring them out that way.
You have to take them all the way back to England, right?
No, we brought them back in northern France. We were operating on northern France then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say you had to have a landing spot.
Oh, yeah. But Market Garden and Varsity both, we did most of our operations out of France.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, in northern France we had most of the operations. By that time, we'd already taken enough ground.
So they had MASH units or hospital units there?
Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a pretty good setup there because the only thing is you were setting ducks with that old C-47 and a glider.
Very slow.
Yeah, you're slow anyway.
And you're big.
And you're an awful good target for them Germans when you're going in and out. We did lose a couple of aircraft and a couple of gliders going in, getting on. And that wasn't my group. It was a different troop carrier group did that.
Sure.
I just heard about it. So.
Well, you're not only flying slow and you're a big target, but you're flying low.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what's one thing about dropping paratroopers. Paratroopers, you drop it from 600 to 800 foot.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to be a target either coming down.
Yeah.
Right. They want to jump out,
They
pop
want
the
to
chute,
get, they want to
and
get
be
on
the ground.
the ground as fast as they can. But that's where a lot of guys, they said we were too low. The only reason was they carried so much extra equipment when they was doing combat. The parachutes they let them down a lot faster than they were thinking they were going to go down.
Yeah. Well, we talked to paratroopers, I think it said a little over 300 feet.
Yeah, probably, yeah. It's not unusual, probably. Especially, I remember Normandy, there was 800 troop carrier, 800 C-47s in the air trying to drop paratroopers in an area, 50 miles square or something like that. And trying to put all that in airplanes in the dark. And all the lights you can see is the exhaust off the engines on the airplane in front of you.
Right.
And you're...
No radar or anything on board?
No radar or nothing.
So it's all visual.
Then this airplane right here. And that belly of that is the only thing that they attempted to have for a radar drop. It wasn't a radar especially, but it was 2 days beforehand. Yeah, that little unit right there. Normally you don't see on any C-47. But that was an attempt they drop what they call pathfinders 2 days ahead of time. These guys went in with a signaling unit, which was picked up by this unit in the airplane, and that was one way to get the guys to land in the right spot. The only thing is that the pathfinders didn't get in the right spots a lot of time.
Okay.
And there wasn't all C-47 didn't have this either. You had to go work off of his.
Well, yeah, you had a few of them to guide you, and you followed them.
Yeah, you followed him, yeah. And it was kind of confusing up there at the time. Although I'll say this about my group, the 316th, the whole 316th, that consisted of 4 squadrons. Every squadron dropped their troopers in the drop zone that they had them picked for. When we came back up out, we dropped down as low as we could to get over to the sea again. You're not target very long when you're real low to the ground. Yeah. Got back up and we all formed in formation and went back to England in formation.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a lot of holes in a lot of us, though, but
well, flying that low, the ground fire is intense.
Yeah, this guy wrote this book here. He was in the 37th Squadron. He got a hole in his wing by a mortar, 37 millimeter mortar.
Well, that was accidental because nobody could aim a mortar.
Yeah, evidently. He probably flew into it. But anyhow, it just missed his gas tank by about 2.5 inches.
Oh,
and that's another thing. These things are no self-sealing fuel tanks or anything like that.
Yeah, you'd just be blown right out of the sky.
Yeah. 2.5 inches, he wouldn't have made it back.
Yeah.
How many troops, paratroopers, did they haul?
In the airplane?
Yeah, C-47.
In the C-47, they had 24 guys and a jump master.
Okay.
Yeah.
where was you at when they was?
Way up here by the cockpit. I didn't want to get near them.
They didn't,
Afraid
you might be
that
invited
something might
to
grab
go.
a hold of you and go
I
out.
didn't want to go out.
Didn't want to go out the door with
I didn't want to
the
go
rest
out.
of the
yeah.
group.
Yeah, and I was up there, but now my job after the paratrooper left, all these static lines are here back beating on the side of the airplane.
You got to pull them in.
I got to pull them all in.
Yeah.
I got to get them static.
Did you wear a chute?
No. Didn't.
Probably should have, but
That the only time I wore a chute was when I was first learning to pull that snatch glider. When we were snatching gliders, you know, after you got him up in the air and you're bringing him up, you reel him back in. I finally learned how to operate that thing. I color coded my cable
so you could tell.
so I could
much
tell how many
out.
feet I had out and stuff like that. Anyway, I'd got this cable color coded, got him up there. Then after he dropped, then you got to bring that hook up.
Right.
So I bring that up till I get to the red pane again. Then I have to reach over and outside the airplane to hook on that hook and get a hold of that. See that tow rope, still hook that rope. Bring it in the airplane, unhook the hook, and then when I get over the drop zone where we can get rid of that tow rope, we drop the tow rope again.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's the only time I'd wear shoes, when I had to reach out of the cabin door but it got so after a while we didn't even wear shoes then. We just put a net across there where it wouldn't fall out, where it had to grab hold of something. But
They're well experienced by that time. Yeah.
yeah, after that, well, after a while I got so I'd show one, I'd teach one, then let them do one, and then from then on it was up to them.
Okay. Did you enjoy flying?
Oh, I enjoyed flying very much. Yeah, I, in fact, between World War II and Korea, I went and got my own civilian pilot's license, got my civilian mechanics rating, and worked at the airport for up until I got recalled practically in the Korean War, and I went to air proving ground in the Korean War, and I really enjoyed the air proving grounds. I'll show you some of the aircraft that I was on in that time of the Korean War. I was on these airplanes that nobody probably ever heard of. But this one, I don't know whether you can pick them up or not, but they're not probably very good. But if you notice right here on this top right there, that's a C-120. Now that fuselage would come off that aircraft, and you could fly it with or without a fuselage. The idea of the thing was that fuselage, one was a first aid station. You take and fly it up into the forward areas, drop off a first aid station, they'd have a first aid station. And the second one was a machine shop. You take a machine shop up and they could repair trains, trucks, or whatever. The idea was great, but if you look and see that thing flying without the fuselage there, and all that flat bottom, all the turbulence off the bottom of that was going right back on your tail. It was a bear to control, that airplane. It was a hard airplane to fly in. We as a crew chiefs, at that time I was a flight engineer, I wasn't a crew chief anymore, I was just, and we'd fight over who'd have to go fly in it, because I never liked flying in it without the
Draw
fuselage.
straws or
But
something?
what we were testing was we would put spoilers. We put inflatable balloon-like things to try to break up the airflow so it wouldn't be so bad. But none of it really worked, especially when you pulled up into a stall, because you didn't know what way you was going to come back out of it. It was a bear of an airplane. They only built one, and I'm glad that's well, because I had one not. And I only flew maybe 20 hours in it. That's enough.
That was more than enough for you,
Yeah,
probably.
right. And this other one here, if you look at it, there's no engines on it. It's a glider. That glider turned into this airplane. You may not know what that airplane is. A C-123 provider.
It looks like a predecessor to C-130.
Yeah, it's the baby 130.
Yeah.
In that glider, we put our reciprocating engines, our 2800s on that aircraft, and that's the one I tested it.
Probably flew pretty good, didn't
No,
it?
it was a great aircraft.
Yeah.
It really was. The only combat I ever seen, though, in it was in Vietnam. You ever see them airplanes spraying Agent Orange? All them airplanes spraying Agent Orange was 123s.
Okay.
They're so bad now, the government won't let you buy one because they don't know whether it's sprayed.
Contaminated, huh?
And they melt that down now and bury the aluminum.
No kidding.
Yeah. Because of the Agent Orange, you know.
It's all that impregnated that much.
So you don't hardly ever see any in any museums anymore, unless you know never flew in there. But what was great about that airplane, they also put one of them with jet engines. I got a picture of that someplace here. It got the pods off a. Well, I did that.
Would that be a conversion or a new build?
That was actually the first.
Because you could overstress the frame,
there it is, right there. There it is. With what we did was take the pods off a B-47 and put that on that, and that made that the first jet transport the Air Force ever had. The Air Force wouldn't accept it at that. It was too fast for them, and it didn't turn out very good that way. But it wasn't a bad airplane. I kind of liked it, although I never got to fly in it. But it was. Yeah.
Was C-47 the only one they used for snatching and towing?
Oh no.
46s also.
Yeah. I think I had one in B-17 even.
Oh yeah.
The British put one in what's a British 4-motor bomber? Lancasters. The British put one in a Lancaster to snatch the Horsa gliders. The Horsa glider was a British glider, and it was all plywood, and it carried 30-some people in that. It was a big glider. Tri-gear. But they would snatch them off of in that Lancaster.
Well, Lancaster's a pretty good sized plane.
Oh yeah.
Comparable to B-17.
Yeah, it had 4 Merlin engines in it.
Yeah, same engine Spitfire had in it.
Spitfire, C-51.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, C-47 was a good old workhorse.
Oh, 47 was the best airplane. I liked the C-47 real well. We actually, though, when we got done in Europe, they took us to anyway, they dropped us off, and we had to go into C-46s instead of C-47s.
Jim, we're out of time already.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service, and thank you for being here.
Jim, nice story.
Yeah.
Mark,
Thank you, sir.
Mark,
Yeah,
you too.
thank you.
I hope you enjoyed the show. Remember, freedom is not free. If you see a veteran or someone in uniform, just walk up to them and shake your hand and say thank you for your service. Thank you, and good night.